And it is our pleasure. Right now, we are joined by comedian Nick Griffin, nickgriffin.net. Nick, welcome to the show. How's everything going for you, man? You are a Kansas City guy just like us. We've got a lot in common already. William Jewell College, man. All the way.
That's right. Yeah, I went to Tiny William Jewell, and now I live in New York City and still doing the comedy thing.
So you left Kansas City because of how bad our sports teams are, I'm assuming.
Well, let me think, because back then, let's see, I was 23 when I left, so were they bad in like 80 or 90? Yeah, I don't know, they weren't great, that was for sure.
We've certainly upgraded in that regard. You're around all sorts of entertainment options, all sorts of sports options, everything going well in New York. Of course, Nick, you're on tour this summer. How's that been going? I know you've done some dates. You've been in Syracuse earlier in the summer, and I know you've got some more dates coming up. How's everything going on that end, on the road?
Hey, look, it's the road. You know, I've been doing it for 27 years, and I love performing. I love doing stand-up, but, you know, sitting in a hotel room, you know, by yourself for hours at a time is not a recipe for mental health.
Definitely not.
No, but the shows make it worthwhile, and I'm doing San Antonio next week, and then I head out to the West Coast for 2 weeks out in Tahoe and Sunnyvale, California. So I still love it, you know. I kind of grew up in Kansas City working these jobs as you do as a kid, and just really thinking, I don't know if I can work like, 8 hours a day. That's
we seem to have that issue here as well, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a horrible employee when it comes to normal jobs, and I knew early on I wanted to do something different, and I used to be a big fan of watching, Letterman and The Tonight Show. I don't know. I just got talked into doing it one night, and it stuck.
Well, you've been on Letterman and Kilborn and Conan and Craig Ferguson and all those. I mean, how'd you get started getting into those shows?
Well, that was always kind of a goal, you know. At least when I started, those shows were really, really big, and that was the goal of the comic, was to get on them. So I started sending tapes probably 10 years into the business, maybe 7 years into the business. I started sending Letterman and The Tonight Show. You know, back then it was VHS tapes, and I never hit it with them. And then, joke be told, I got divorced, and I wrote a bunch of funny divorce material, and they really loved it, and it stuck with them. And I had a really great first appearance on Letterman, and they kind of used me once a year ever since. So I'm lucky that way.
Well, you talked about being divorced. I mean, how's the dating world treating you this day? The game sure has changed, from our end at least.
Are you guys single? Are you married?
Both single.
Both
so
single.
Got that going for us.
I think everyone's doing the online dating now, of course, and that's something I participate in. I have a joke about, you've seen the commercials, Match.com, eHarmony.com, why don't they call it what it is, What's Left.com, and, it's kind of it's like a thrift store for people. You're just, you're looking for, secondhand stuff, but it's fine. I mean, I don't have a lot of time for it. I'm on the road a lot, and, this job is not very attractive to women. Hey, I'm going to see you for a week, and then I'm going to leave for 3 weeks, and then I'm going to come back for 2 days, and I'd like to see you, and then I'm going to be gone for a month. It's like a vampire type situation.
So do you ever get to a new town there and hit up the online dating sites for that town and looking for some casual encounters? Or?
I used to when I was younger, but now I'm 47, and at the end of the night I'm kind of tired. I usually get a pizza and maybe some ice cream, and that seems like a really wild night for me now after years of drinking and boozing and running after women. It's kind of just, I take it pretty easy now.
Well, I mean, have you ever met up with one of these women who just didn't quite look how she did in her pictures, let's say? Have you ever been a victim of that?
Oh, sure, yeah. I've had many women give me, false evidence, and which is fine. mean, I'm sure there's plenty of guys out there doing the same, and I'm so easygoing. I've been yelled at by every kind of person in the world, and you're a loser. I had sex with your mother. That whole heckling thing. That now when people try to put something over, and I don't really care. I'm divorced. I'm older. You're probably not going to hurt my feelings too much.
How do you feel like technology has changed the dating world? You've got women out there, you've got men just swarming them on Facebook, thousands of men for each woman. It's just, to get in there is just impossible.
It is hard to make an impression. It is. I really don't know how to do it. I'm just, occasionally I'll meet women after the show who've seen my act, and if you've seen my act, there's a lot of relationship disasters and depression and napping all the time. So if a woman still wants to approach me after seeing all that, that might be my girl. I don't know.
Well, obviously up here, up in Kansas City, we have the beautiful Improv Comedy Club up here in the Northland. Have you been able to make it up here? If not, when's a time maybe we could get you up here to the Northland? It's a beautiful Zona Rosa. The Improv. We've had many guys. Pablo Francisco just came through, and we'd love to get you up. Got to get you back to Kansas City sometime, man.
I know, I do. I usually go to a bar, and just because when I'm in Kansas City, I want to. I'm there so rarely that I want to see as many people as I can. So, the Improv, which is a great comedy club, you're there every night for 5 days. I'd rather go into a bar and do maybe 1 or 2 nights, kind of buy out the bar and just do a bar show for, maybe 2 shows, and then I'll have the rest of the time to hang out with family and friends.
So, going back to the divorce, have you coped with that? Is that all good now between you two?
Oh, well, I don't know if it's good. I say, we only married 3 years, which is, pathetic. 3 years. We were supposed to be together till one of us died, and I never even had a fever. So, we don't talk. No, I think we parted ways, and as a, kind of a parting gift, we just decided not to see each other or talk to each other ever again. I hope she's doing well. It's probably better off. It helped me get on Letterman, and I did the best I could. I don't know. I'm horrible in relationships. I'm selfish. I sleep in. I don't know. I've been doing my own thing for so long as a comic, kind of being my own boss, and it's hard to take instruction from other people after that.
Now, out there in the dating world, after a show or something, do you like the 20-year-olds? Are you kind of your own age? Do you like the younger girls? What's Nick Griffin like?
I like young girls, or young women, but I don't. My whole thing with young women is like no matter what I say to a young woman, it sounds creepy in my head. It's like that just sounds creepy. It doesn't even matter what I say; it can be innocent. I could say to a young girl, or a young woman, can I buy you a drink? But what I hear is, want some candy? It just doesn't.
Oh, God.
I don't think I have a ton of nieces. I have like 5 nieces that are all between 15 and 25, and so it feels creepy to be walking around arm in arm with a 22-year-old. So I actually go with women generally my age.
Well, this is a random, but I'm hearing rumors that we have maybe a favorite horror movie in common, that you are all a big fan of Jeepers Creepers. Hard to believe that's been out so long, over a decade now, but Jeepers Creepers, great movie. I don't know, Justin Long, before he turned gay, Jeepers Creepers, right?
Yeah, no, huge horror movie fan. Big fan of Jeepers Creepers. I actually like Jeepers Creepers 2 quite a bit as well, and I kind of spend my off hours when I'm sitting in a hotel room by myself writing screenplays, and I've tried to, for years, sell these horror screenplays that I write, and nothing's happened, but it does keep me busy, and I watch a tremendous amount of horror. So, my hats off to you if you're a fan of Jeepers Creepers.
What's the best screenplay you've written? You've got several, you said. What's your favorite?
Well, I have several. I would say one called Scary. That feels so ridiculous. I'm like 47. I'm writing screenplays called Scary Monsters, but I have one called
Yes.
Scary Monsters. I have one called Scary Monsters about these guys who run on a tourist a bus tour where they drive to famous places where supposedly monsters were sighted, and then it ends up one night they actually see a monster, and the whole adventure there goes.
Is it revealed at the end that the monster is your ex-wife?
That's right. That's right. She kills everybody.
Well, yeah, Nick, before we let you go, I mean, you've done all these shows. You've done done Ferguson, done Letterman, a handful. I mean, what is the difference, between doing those type of shows, which are in front of millions of people, on television, versus just doing it in front of 100 people or so in a club? I mean, do you feel like there's more pressure with the televised audience?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's a good question because it's actually harder in the sense that I get more nervous when I do TV, but the audience is so much better on TV because they're there to listen. They don't, they're not necessarily drunk. They're not distracted with their phones. There's a warm-up guy who says, hey, we got a comic and we got a band and it's going to be great. You're going to love them. Just make sure you give them a lot of energy. So it's very, it's very pro-performer. And when you go into a club, anything can happen. There can be a bachelorette party, or there can be 12 people, or, there can be a game in town and no one's there. So I love doing those TV sets because I kind of grew up watching, Stephen Wright and Richard Lewis and George Carlin and all these people do TV sets, and that's and Jerry Seinfeld and on and on and on. And that was always a big appeal to me. But I still love doing the clubs. I still love, seeing what happens when you go out there on a packed late show Friday night, and it's all good, it's all fun, and it's amazing after 27 years that I'm still into it.
Do you love the stand-up? You mentioned how you love it, but do you love it as much, or do you have bigger goals as to moving on, trying to get a television show, selling one of those great horror screenplays?
Yeah, I would love to do those other things I mentioned. I would love to get a screenplay produced and purchased, and I would love to, get a sitcom, but so much of that is out of your hands. You get hot for a minute, and then you're not hot. There's a million other comics, and you kind of got to make your own breaks. And like I said, I've gotten to do Letterman many times, and I get to still work, 40 weeks a year, so I'm pretty lucky. But yeah, I do hope some of those things happen, but you try not to get too obsessed with it because so much of it is out of your hands.
Well, Nick, we'll definitely be watching, definitely cheering for you. You're a hilarious guy. Cannot thank you enough for coming on. Of course, you're going to be in Lake Tahoe, Nevada, coming up in July. Also, actually, before that, you'll be in San Antonio, July 9th through 13th at the LOL Comedy Club, July 30th through August 3rd, and in Lake Tahoe at the Improv Lake Tahoe. Wish I could make it out to Tahoe to see you, man, but I'll tell you what, hit us up next time you're in Kansas City. We'll get together and we'll maybe we'll grab some chicks and we'll all have a nice little date, maybe something like that.
Perfect. I will stay in touch, guys, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot, Nick.